If you're willing, my friend, I guess I'll explain to the chat where my kind of dungeon master brain kind of started thinking of in researching. You've mentioned a couple of times that you have a very specific visual memory, and like maybe not so much you can like talk about art history or anything like that, but if you see like a little snippet of like a piece of artwork or something like that, you can be like, oh no, I know what that is. Don't know the history when it was made, all that, but I can tell you what the artwork is. I was
Let's
curious.
go.
Yeah, I was curious if you could do this with album art. I don't know how hard or easy. You might be like, oh, dude, like no challenge whatsoever at all. But I guess that we'll see how this is going to go. So let me
All
get the
right.
correct slide over here. So the people will be able to see these album arts right now, and I'm going to show them to you on my computer since technology kind of sucks. This is how it's going to go. You have two tries, my friend. I am being nice. You have two tries. I'll show you a small one, and then I'll show you a bigger one. 2 points if you can guess it on the first try. 1 point if you can guess it on the second try. No points if you don't
All
get it.
right.
And bonus points if you can tell me who the artist is as well. So, we are starting up with the first one. This is what we're looking at. Can you see this, my
All
friend?
right. Yep, that's Megadeth by Ed Repka, and that was I think that the second Megadeth record that I picked up just based on the album cover alone.
That
And
is
it was a toss-up between that one and Euthanasia for my very first one, but I think I gravitated more towards Euthanasia because of the color scheme. I've never seen an album cover that is purple and green. But
yeah.
afterwards, I mean, a few months later, I bought Rust in Peace as well.
Which is just a classic, and the part of Euthanasia that gets me
Amazing
is
record.
the kids on the little like on the laundry hanger like that. I feel like that also is a little bit like early Eliran Kantor. Now that I'm thinking about it, that kind of like absurdist surreality type of thing, maybe possibly
For
with
sure.
some of the like influences that you have. Amazing, sir. You are 1 for 1 right now. Let's go
All
with
right.
another one. I I'm not going to give you any hints. You may know. Let's see.
Hard to see, but yeah, I know what it is. Uh, Death, The Sound of Perseverance, the second edition by Travis Smith. What he did was he did the original one in I think 99, 98, can't remember, but that was my first Death album that I bought on CD from Tower Records back then. And I think when it came a time for, I think Relapse reissued it and they remixed it or maybe remastered it. And Travis took this opportunity to redo the album cover because he felt like he was very much in the initial stages of his discovery of this medium that he became so well known for, but he just got technically better with as the years went by. So he wanted to redo this album cover and do it in a way that he felt like was like more technically proficient.
Amazing. This is also my first Death album that I ever bought. And
Still my favorite as well.
yeah, I always say that it depends on the day. Like if I have just listened to Symbolic, Symbolic is my favorite record. If I've just listened to Sound of
Same.
Perseverance, Sound of Perseverance is my. It's like a toss up between the two. I just love those albums so much.
I think I give Sound of Perseverance the advantage because of the drum sound
Mm.
alone. Seriously,
Richard Christie is a
I
madman.
just I love him on that record. I wish he did like so much more with this style
Mm.
and that drum sound as well.
So good. All right, here's one I think that you will probably get almost immediately. Let me pull up Zoom so I've got it well for you. Let's see. Can you get it, sir?
Yeah, that's Killers, Maiden.
Look.
Derek Riggs's old neighborhood. You can you can even go to his old neighborhood in London, and I mean Iron Maiden fans have been doing the pilgrimage over there over the years and taking their photos with just like a brick wall and a street lamp. And what I loved about this album cover was just the yellow light, because this was exactly the light we had back then in the 90s. Everything was so yellow outside. think they changed it where I grew up. But it was just, the atmosphere on that album cover is just so weird. And I painted my own bedroom walls with that album cover. I painted a recreation of the Eddie figure on that one.
I did read that as well, which is why I was being a little bit cheeky when I was like, all right, I'm going to get the smallest little one that I possibly can. And yeah, this is, I used to have a poster of this in my bedroom when I was a kid. It's iconic. It's classic. I still think it's probably one of my favorite Eddies. And it's just like, not even like that crazy. It's just the axe and the smile. Like that's really what it is. The axe with the blood dripping down and the smile. Boom. Sold as a kid.
Exactly. It's one of those rare occurrences where, I mean, have you seen this Mythbusters episode where they polish a turd?
Yes, I have seen that episode.
So yeah, I mean, those guys came to Derek Riggs and maybe they had this concept like, yeah, let's have the weird character you did on the first record, but now he will have an axe dripping with blood. And I mean, on paper, it's so boring and straightforward. But he just, I mean, some illustrators are able, I mean, Frank Frazetta is my favorite when it comes to being able to take the most mundane, straightforward, head-on fantasy concept and just make a masterpiece out of it. I mean, if somebody came to me and told me, just, okay, you need to paint like this warrior with just waving a big sword next to a dragon, I'm not sure that I would be able to make it into something interesting. But those guys, Derek Riggs and Frank Frazetta, for sure could.
Yeah, and shout out to the detail in that sky as well. That's one of the things, always for me, those subtle, underrated things when you look at that, because you're always drawn by the hands, the axe, the blood, but then that sky right there, gorgeous, perfect. All right.
That part is airbrushed. By the way, that part is airbrushed.
Airbrush.
He used to airbrush the bigger chunks because I mean, in most cases, they only allowed him like a weekend to do these pieces. I mean, Somewhere in Time and Power Slave, obviously not, but some of them were like done over a weekend. So in order to fill up huge portions of the canvas, he would, of the board. I think he did it on like cardboard. He would just use airbrush in order to do the big chunks of sky. And I think I have his book, and he even said that Number of the Beast was an unfinished album cover. He still added like tons of last minute details on the taxi the way to the printing factory where they took a photo of it.
I love that.
No time to finish it.
It's amazing. So it was at least more finished than Dance of Death was, but amazing stuff right there. But yeah, so I guess that's why that stands out so well. Is just because one of those like Bob Ross will say, those happy accidents, right? We're just, well, I don't have time, so I'm just going to do this, and then it makes it pop even more. Amazing. Look, I could talk about Iron Maiden and their Derek Riggs all day. I'm sure you probably could too. All right. Let's go. Here's another cheeky. Let me wake up my computer here. There's another cheeky selection here. See if you can recognize this one.
This one's mine.
Yep.
Yeah. Archangel by Soulfly. Yeah, this one seems to be a fan favorite as well, which is. And that was a very happy occasion because I've been a fan of Max's music ever since I was in high school. I must have listened to Beneath the Remains like hundreds of times. And when he and Gloria got in touch with me, I was just ecstatic to be able to work with this guy and over the time develop a relationship with him and being friends and keep in touch for the years. And the model I used as a reference to for the main angel is a friend of mine who's also a huge Sepultura fan. We used to listen to them together a lot of times, many times in high school. And he fitted the bill to a T. He looks exactly, I didn't have to even change anything about him. I referenced him like exactly as he is with the curls and everything.
That's amazing. Just growing up, listening to Sepultura, then all of a sudden you're on a Soulfly record, just on the cover, so to speak, I suppose. I would tell everybody if that was like, no, I'm the model on Soulfly's Archangel. Like, I would tell everybody.
I modeled for basically everything else on the album, on that album cover, because when you need reference photos in order to be able to paint realistically, you need good source material, because in order to get all the anatomy right and the lighting right, there's just tons of these photos that I take of myself doing like crazy weird, I got it. Weird and crazy poses of me going like, can't remember what I did on that album cover, but tons of them are just me in my living room acting weird.
Awesome. And then that'll be the addendum to one of your books one of these days, after you've got the collection of all your album arts and stuff like that. At the very end, it'll be all the raw pictures of you posing in your bedroom or whatever it is. I'm sure the people want to see that, right?
Heavily censored. Heavily censored.
All right, here is another one. We're chatting a lot more than I thought that we might. This is great. Here we go. Can you see this one? This is a hard one.
I think I have an idea what it is. Bellwitch?
I cannot get a single thing past you, my man. Yeah. I thought that I was going to have to give you like a second zoomed out photo, but yeah, Mirror Reaper by Bellwitch.
Okay, yeah, because I can't remember the name of the album.
Yeah.
I never got to finish that record. But yeah, it's by Mariusz Lewandowski, right?
Nailed it.
Saying it right?
Yep, nailed it.
Thank you. I mean, tons of new amazing Polish artists, which is like bad news for me because I can't pronounce their names. So this is why I'm not gonna give them a shout out on the Instagram stuff, because I can't type it. I can't spell the stuff.
Yeah, this is another. I'm not 100% familiar with the artist, but I remember we were listening to a song on stream from a new band, and we're like, "That's the dude who did the Bellwitch art." Like you just know, it's just like those styles that are around. It's great.
Yeah, he has a very distinctive sense of color, which is, I mean, he's got a fantastic, fabulous sense of color. Yeah, his color schemes are so well balanced and so vivid and so memorable. I mean, not even considering the composition and the characters and the stories, I mean, just the colors are very striking.
I 100% agree. I'm going to keep us moving. We have a couple more because you're just nailing it out of the park, man. Can you guess this one?
Yeah. Dan Seagrave. Which one of his newer ones? That's a band that originally got in touch with me as well, but they had like a very tight deadline for the first record, and ever since then they did like 4 albums with Dan Seagrave. Rivers of Nile.
There you go.
The album is called something with owls. I don't remember.
I'll count it.
All right, but it has, well, I don't know, something with owls, and it has a saxophone in it, which automatically grabs my attention. I will, at the very least, check out every metal album that has saxophone in it.
It is a fantastic instrument to put in. Where Owls Know My Name is the name of the album. You're spot on. I'll give it to you, man. Yeah, and they're coming out with an album a little bit later in October as well. Their new album coming out. Good stuff, Rivers of Nile. I thought I might be tricking you on that one, but like I said, can't get anything past you, Eliran.
Yeah, that one was, I mean, if you would send more modern stuff, yeah, you could trick me.
Sure. Maybe next time. Maybe I'll go to my dungeon and start thinking like that's going to be my life's purpose now. Like I have to trip up Eliran Kantor with album arts and stuff.
Yeah, because I mean my period of when I got into this sort of music was like 90s. So 90s and 80s, that's my favorite era of metal. So, but this specific band, they caught my attention, so I remember it.
Amazing.
And
well,
Bellwitch as well.
I have a couple more 80s and 90s ones to show you just because some of my favorite heavy metal as well. I mean, I grew up classics, Maiden Priest, all of those ones. What about this one?
Slayer. That one is. Oh, okay. That's a hard one. Oh, that's South of Heaven.
It is South of Heaven. Again,
Yeah.
boom! You are running perfect, my friend.
By Larry Carroll. Larry Carroll, right? Check your notes.
I'm checking my notes. Yep, you are correct again.
One of the most amazing things about the work he did for Slayer was, I mean, aside from this like very distinctive style that he had, he used to do a collage of all of these parts that he would enlarge using Xerox and then paint over it. And it gave this band a really like a surrealistic, very menacing visual aesthetic. And they originally weren't really on board with what he did for Rain in Blood, which was his first job that they did together. But I think it was like Kerry King's mother that said, "Oh, this is awful," and then Kerry said, "Oh, maybe there's something to it," because Larry Carroll was originally like a political cartoonist. He did a lot of like editorial stuff for magazines. Can't remember which ones, and his style. I mean, looking back now, I mean, his influence on modern heavy metal album covers made it so his style doesn't feel like as cutting edge as it used to be, because it was very modern, very cutting edge, very experimental, which are stuff that you usually don't associate with Slayer, which is why I think they were a little bit apprehensive about, maybe they were on the fence about going through with him or going forward with him. And he actually also tried out and sent them a sketch for the last record as well, for their final record.
Really?
But they ended up going in another direction. And I know that because I also was asked to do a sketch for it. It was also a tight deadline.
Amazing stuff. Yeah, and we can see how iconic those are right now. I mean, I thought about doing Rated Blood. I was like, nah, that's a little bit too on the nose. We'll go with the next one.
And Rain in Blood is an amazing album cover, because this is one of my favorites. And what's amazing about it is that you don't even notice that there's like tons of really huge, gigantic cocks on the album cover. I mean, each and every one of those characters has this huge black cock over there, and you just never notice it.
I don't think I ever have noticed that, actually, now that you say that.
Now you can't unsee it. And now that you look at it, it's like, wow, this is so clear. This is like, how wasn't this censored? And then you get, oh, that's because I didn't even picked up on it.
And I would show a picture of it now, but now I'm afraid that Twitch is going to ban us if we do that. So we'll hold that later. Are you ready to
ban it so far?
Yeah, exactly. Are you ready to move on, my friend? Just got a couple more for you. All right, let's see if you can do this one.
All right, that's my favorite album of all time, Them by King Diamond.
Man, boom.
It was made by a duo, actually, from Copenhagen. They're called Studio Design. Their names escape me. He used to sign his name like T. Holm, so it's like Thomas Holm or T. Holm. And the other guy, I feel so bad because I just spoke with him on Facebook last week, and I can't remember. Bjorn. I can't remember the last name.
Jorgensen, I imagine is what it would be.
Jorgensen, yeah. Bjorn Jorgensen. And I just, there's a book series called And Justice for Art by an author called Ramon Martos, where he dug up tons of stories from, I mean, he just interviewed tons of these original album cover artists and got the scoop regarding how some of those iconic album covers were made. And Them was amazing in the sense that it was basically painted by two guys working on a landscape um, like on a landscape composition, which was hung on a cylinder in a way that the end of it, one end of it, would continue to the next one. So if you got like multiplies of them, they would just connect to each other forever, like create an endless loop.
Wow.
Which was such a bummer because at the end, Roadrunner didn't print it out as a gatefold, so you couldn't do it. I think up until this day, it was never printed out as a gatefold. They used this for like maybe the CD remastered version, or can't remember which one, but it wasn't originally done as an LP gatefold. But that's an amazing story. Both of them, I can't remember. I mean, they constructed this like cylinder out of cardboard, hung it over there, connected the edges of it, and then painted it together.
Everybody direct your angry letters to Roadrunner so that we can get those LP gatefolds out. So we could just we'll do a world record of the longest them train that we can possibly get to.
That would be amazing.
This is another one, Eliran, where like you look at this and it's like, boom, all right, I'm already transported into what this album is going to sound like. And then you start listening to the album, it's like, Yep, this is exactly what I thought that this would sound like. Down to the wheelchair, like fucking, like falling down the stairs over there. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's another album cover that I painted on my teenage bedroom walls as well. And the King Diamond logo was amazing as well.
Yep.
But this is one of the bands that I've heard one song beforehand. I think it was on like a Metal Hammer magazine compilation. So I just went out, so I already knew how the band sounded like. I was really hooked on his voice and the style of music, so I just went out and bought the first record. That it was a toss of a coin between that one and Abigail, and I ended up buying this one. I think the album cover was just more vivid and memorable and mysterious.
Yep, it speaks.
And again,
to
the colors. Who uses purple? Seriously, whenever you're doing an album cover with purple, you're gonna get the viewer's attention for a couple of seconds more because it stands out from the rest.
There was an amazing album that I loved from last year that did it mostly in purple from a Canadian grindcore band called Wake. Devouring Ruin was the name of the album. If you get a chance for it, check it out. It is really cool. It looks simple at first when you start getting into it, but then there's a lot of stuff in there. A lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, right? And it just kind of... I bought a shirt of it. That's like how much I loved it. And like I just listen to that record all the time. Really, really good.
What's going on that album cover, part of it being purple?
So it's almost like stone gargoyles or something like that. It's like this woman with kind of like horns and stuff like that, but it's around with this like almost like black frame between it, and there's like almost phases of the moon phasing out into different parts of that. It's really fucking cool. It looks like, I'm trying to think, like, you know how in like Greek architecture buildings and stuff like that, you'll have the carvings of the stories of like the different people. It's almost like that, but if you like were that in a prism of like Dante's Inferno or something like that.
All right, now I gotta look it up.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't know if those. I'm a dumb when it comes to like art history and stuff like that, so I don't know if that exactly matches up. But it's a cool album.
Me too. Don't feel bad. Me too.
All right, second to last one. Again, you may know this one right away, but we'll see. I tried to make this one a little difficult.
You failed miserably. That's Painkiller. Mark Wilkinson? That's his?
Yep.
Yeah. That's another album cover that looks exactly like the album sounds like.
Yeah, I always tell people that my favorite Judas Priest record is Defenders of the Faith, but their best one is Painkiller. There's a distinction in my mind, you know what I mean?
I get it, because sometimes your favorite album stems from like nostalgic feelings.
Correct.
Where you are at the exact moment where you feel. I mean, the story behind you finding out about the band, finding out about this specific record, and I don't know, when you get exposed and to something at a certain age, it carries like an impact that you can't replicate afterwards, especially if you weren't used to this kind of sound. When I
Correct.
first heard Painkiller, I've never heard anything like that before. And I mean, I've heard, because of Beavis and Butthead, I knew about Maiden, Megadeth, and Metallica. That's it. And then I bought a guitar, and I went to this guitar teacher to get some lessons, and he played me Painkiller. And I've never heard anything like it. I remember just listening to the intro, the vocal intro to All Guns Blazing in repeat. I would just put on Christine, the Strangle Grip. I would just play that over and over and over again. It's like, what is it? I mean, it sounds possessed. That's amazing. I've never heard anything like it.
Yeah.
And then when I heard King Diamond, it was just, okay, I just found my new favorite band. I mean, it took it to like the most extreme.
Yeah, and what you mentioned about finding your bands at like 15, I was reading a study that's scientifically proven, like if they're into music, whatever it was, at literally that age at 15, that is kind of what's gonna carry them through. Because I was speaking of another album art with Purple actually in it, Nevermore's Dead Heart in a Dead World. The very first time I heard World Dane sing, I had never heard anything like that because I hadn't gotten into power metal or like darker metal or anything like that. It was basically just Metallica, Priest, and Maiden, and then I heard his voice, and like you said, it was just like, oh my god, someone can sound like that? What is that? And then I just like fell down the rabbit hole of all of their albums because of exactly what you were describing.
And that's an amazing band, which is another band that I checked out based on the album cover alone. And it wasn't this one, it was Dreaming Neon Black. And I was in a record store, and they played one of those later tracks on that album. Maybe All Play Dead or maybe Forever. I don't know. And it sounded like very like gothic and dark and gloomy. So I was like, okay, this is so cool. And then I bought the record, went home, put it up on my stereo, and the first song is like power metal. I mean, for me, to my ears in comparison, Beyond Within sounded like so up-tempo and cheerful in comparison to what I heard in the record store. I was just a bit taken back and a bit disappointed, but then the vocals kicked in and I noticed the lyrics. And then as the record progressed, I heard like the doomier stuff and the darker, weirder, dirgier stuff. And to this day, that's my favorite Nevermore album. But when it comes to the album covers, Dead Heart was so influential the following couple of years by Travis Smith again.
Mm-hmm.
The following couple of years were basically everybody who had a cracked, stolen copy of Photoshop tried to do the Dead Trees overlay thing, me included.
Yeah.
It was so influential. I mean, because it was, I think, same year or maybe like close to him doing Blackwater Park by Opeth as well. So everybody wanted those cool, bare, dead trees.
Amazing. And just speaking of Dreaming Neon Black, the title track of that album is incredible, just absolutely incredible. But I could talk about Nevermore all day.
Everything on that, that's one of this one and Deconstruction and
Poison God Machine, just like the end of Poison God, like just, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I remember thinking, wow, I wish he would do that voice a little bit more. And then I found out about Refuge Denied by Sanctuary, and I was like, yeah!
There it is!
I've got an entire record of him doing this so over-the-top vibrato.
Yeah, rest in peace, World Dane. Like such a good singer.
And they were the perfect metal band because some of the songs were just straight up doom songs, like songs like what was it, like The Passenger from Politics of Ecstasy. Some of those songs were just straight up doom songs and like gothic songs, thrashy songs, groovy. They were like, you can't describe them without going like, okay, they're like 10% modern, 10% traditional. Some of it is like almost bordering on death metal when it comes to the instrumentation as well. Great lyrics, perfect vocals. They just, amazing guitar player as well. They were just the perfect metal band. could have been way, way bigger than they were.
I agree. I got the good fortune of seeing them one time when they were touring for this Godless Endeavor, and I was right front row. I will never forget that show as long as I live, Eliran. And just like, it was, oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah, All right. Too. I was there on that one, and I saw them previously on, can't remember, the one after Dead Heart. Which one was it?
Obsidian Conspiracy?
Enemies of Reality.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, well, I've got the last one for you, sir, and then we will wrap this up. Did I save the best for last? Did I save the hardest for last? Let us see. Let me see if you can see that. Sorry, hang on. There it is.
Okay. I think, okay. Just because I noticed the tiny Grim Reaper, now I know what it is. The last Ghost album. Can't remember the name, but I know, but I will be able to pronounce the Polish name of the guy who did it. Zbigniew Bielak. Good guy. Does some great stuff for that band. Very, like, all of their album covers or even their singles and some of the stuff inside their booklets are basically homages to famous imagery from the 60s and 70s. And that specific album cover pays homage to Bestial Devastation from Sepultura. Mm-hmm. And I think a portrait of Cardinal Richelieu as well, which is a classical painting by, I can't remember. You see, I'm better with heavy metal and classical art history. And also Hieronymus Bosch references when it comes to the tiny details at the bottom part of it. Yeah, what's the name of the album?
The name of the album is Prequel. I'll give it to you anyway, man. Like, you just absolutely crushed everything that I brought to the table, my friend. I was like, well, I don't want to make this dude seem a fool or anything like that, so I'm not going to do just a black square or something like that, but proving once and for all that heavy metal album art just sticks in your brain once it's in there. And I love the stories that you were telling with all of that, my friend.
When it's good, I mean, yeah, you need to be able to do so. I mean, even from a very cynical, commercial point of view, you've got such a huge competition. It makes no sense to do something that is not out of the ordinary, that won't stick out and be memorable. And all of those guys that you've presented here, Dan Seagrave and Travis Smith and Bielak and Lewandowski, all of them just contribute something that is very fresh, something that's very memorable and distinctive.
Amazing stuff. Eliran, I think that we will leave it there. Before you go, you mentioned that you were working on Venom Prison. Obscura is going to be coming out in a couple of months. Anything else down the pike that you can tell us about as far as bands to be on the lookout for with your album art on it, sir?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what I can talk about. Some of those I can't mention. I usually just, instead of asking each and every band, I wait for them to do something publicly and just say, oh, we just got the album cover from Eliran, it's going to be cool, and just working on hype or whatever. And then it's like, okay, now I can talk about it. One of them is Abigail Williams. That's a very cool band. I love the last record. And this is one album cover that I'm very proud of, because this is going to be something. I mean, it's already done for months. I sent it to them. The record company has it for months, but I guess because of vinyl production, everything is delayed by like 6 months or maybe even more. But this album cover was something that I had in advance. It was something that I kept to myself and just waited for a good opportunity to present it and flesh it out, because it was done in like a very sketchy form. It lived in like sketch form for at least a couple of years. So we've got that one. As I said, the Venom Prison is already done. Obscura is already out. Craven Idol is out. Hooves and Horns, or Horns and Hooves. So bad. Sorry, guys. Sorry, but that's another.
Oh, for Craven Idol?
No. Another band from Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
Hooves and Horns, and fantastic band, and that's another record that we already finished. And the rest of them, I'm not sure I can mention, but
Perfect.
hopefully soon.
That is enough to keep us tided over for right now. Eliran, thank you so much for being generous with your time. Thank you for indulging me in my crazy Dungeon Master games and everything like that. And thank you for just chatting about art and heavy metal with me today, man.
Thanks for inviting me. This has been great.
Yeah.
And seriously, I wish each and every one of those interviews that I do would have this cool feature like this game. This game was fun.
Fantastic. Well, I'll keep it going for you. Maybe we'll bring you back one day. I'll do level 2 with you, sir. I'll be thinking. All right.
Come on, Killers. What did you?
Look, I had to make sure. I just had to make sure. Come on. No, anyways. All right. Have a good one. We'll see you.
Thank you.